Taurus, this is your week ahead tarot card reading by Born Without Boundaries Tarot. It's a message for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign, or anybody that happened to have this pop up on their feed, because it would not have popped up on your feed if there wasn't something here for you to hear. So despite the astrological designation, this message is for you. And this is where your message begins. It always shows up at just the right time. Oh, things are a little weird. Oh. Actually, no. This is really good. This is a sense of all that crapola that was really causing you a great deal of anxiety over. But so is sort of like, it's like reality has struck. Right? The anxiety is over. There's no more tension, but at the same time, there's no more like hype either. And there's no more connectedness or togetherness. It's like once the veil was taken up, once the veil was lifted, and this is coming up in a little bit of a future. So, hate to say this to you, but the honeymoon is over. That's what it is. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad, but it could. It feels like now that reality has struck, this is like, you can't ignore it anymore. So something may happen to make you break up with somebody. Or just like the bloom is off the rose. So you may not break up, but it's not that lovely rose-colored glasses kind of feeling anymore. And this is what's for some reason coming out a little bit in the future. So not too far from now, there's a full moon in Taurus that's coming up on November 5th. Early in the morning, if you're like 9 a.m. if you're in the United States. So, you're kind of probably going to get to enjoy it on the 4th or the night of the 5th. Like those 2 nights are going to be gorgeous because it's the biggest super moon of the year. It's going to be so extraordinary. Even if you're not into astrology, if you're just look up at the sky, it's just going to be so beautiful. So, because this is happening in Taurus and you're drawn to this Taurus energy, it means that moment's going to be very like not explosive, but like relieving, right? It's going to relieve almost like a pressure valve or like a pimple that's popped. It's going to relieve something. 5 of Swords in reverse is a beautiful energy. It's like, okay, all the stuff that was attacking you, hurting you, harming you is gone. The Tower in reverse, it's like almost like the worst is over. There could be some anxiety cleaning up after all of that stuff has happened. But the 6 of Cups is in reverse is sort of the energy of, it's the energy of you remember things way better than they ever were. You know, it's like having false recollection. Right? And then we have the 4 of Wands in reverse, which means something was not meant to stay in connection or in communion. So that's why I say all the energy together, and it all fell out together. So it's not happening as separate energies. It's happening as one. Is the bloom is off the rose. And pretty soon you're going to be woken up to this. The question is really then, why? Why are you telling me this? Okay. There's real happiness. There's sincere happiness. Maybe get you back to your actual family, to the people that you actually belong with. Because ultimately, this all feels like it was really just a distraction anyway, no matter how permanent you thought it was. Now, once again, it does not have to be romance. If you're in a healthy, happy relationship, this doesn't change that, dude. It doesn't. It just means something. No, okay, so this is what it's about. Specifically in your life, think about what this is. 7 of Pentacles. Something was stuck. It says failure on the top of the card. That's this artist or the person who made the deck. That's their interpretation of it. It's stagnation. To me, I always say it's stagnation. It's like circling the airport but not landing. It's like, why hasn't this worked out? Well, because now we know why hasn't it worked out? Because it really wasn't meant to. It wasn't constructed like that. This wasn't supposed to be. And I think you're trying and you're trying and you're trying and you're moving yourself in circles. That's what's happening. And that's what's going to be ending. That's where like the bloom is off the rose. I'm sick of this. I'm done. Right? That's the thing that's ending. So think about it like that. It's not everything in your life. It's this thing that no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't get it to work. You just couldn't get it to make sense. You just couldn't get it to prosper. It's not for lack of trying. And usually Seven of Pentacles implies you've tried over and over again. You've spent a lot of time on this. But there's nothing coming out of it. And that's why you're like, okay, I'm fine with this being just something that didn't work out. Oh, more information. The devil is here. There was so many restrictions. Maybe there was a lot of rules, regulations, constant pushback, or a toxic attachment, right? Especially to too many people getting involved, too many people like in the row, you know? Yeah, there's just like too many irons in the fire. This was a love connection, but it was always associated with disappointment. There was a strong attraction here. Maybe that's what kept coming back, or there was passion. But there was always this I don't know, like disappointment. Three of Pentacles is here, so doing really hard work, really good work. See, it's like you're being recognized. It's like you kept holding it down somehow. You kept it working, you kept it functioning. But taking back your power. Taking back your power or being in control. Somebody always wanted to be in control. With the Five of Swords in reverse, you could have been dealing with somebody who was narcissistic. This sense of intentional entrapment. Doing it just to mess with you. Whatever this is, it's over. It's over. I guess what we should do then is ask how. How does this end? We have bring love into the situation, new moon in Aquarius, and adjustments are required. So in other words, what this is saying is, in order to even make this work to begin with, you had to shift or change or suppress a lot of the things that you were really feeling. Or somebody had to. Like, in order to bring love into the situation, or it's almost like in order to convince people that this was a good idea or this person was a good person, you had to make you had to jump through so many hoops. You had to bend over backwards time and time again. And it worked. Ultimately, it worked. But the thing is, it constantly required that constant work. And it wasn't getting any better. It was just running off of your energy. It's like something like a fire that keeps requiring more fuel, right? And it's not going to stay lit by itself. It's you feeding it. But to be responsible for constantly tending to the wood and getting the wood and chopping it down, and it's exhausting. In other words, this wasn't natural. And I know that sounds really mean, but it wasn't. Something here was not natural. It was not intuitive. It wasn't meant to be. And it was forced. So it was very unnatural. It was like trying to keep something stable when it doesn't even belong together in the beginning. Like, you can force elements together, but you're going to have to take a lot of energy and drain a lot of energy from stuff in order for it to actually stay together. And that could be used for so much better stuff. stuff that, you know, should be getting the energy. Like this was, I keep hearing unnatural. And that's why the failure was there. There was something here that just, and it's emotional. So it's almost like you were trying to convince yourself that something was okay, that something was right, that something would work out. You're lying. You're not lying to be malicious. You're lying with the best intentions. I want to make this work. It like, oh, but I could prove it to myself. It's not good if it's not natural. If it takes that much work to maintain or to keep it like that, it's like the people who put on a lot of makeup and think they're pretty. If you need a lot of makeup to be pretty, you ain't pretty. It's okay. Like, it's okay to be glamorous. It's okay to love makeup. But if you need that shit to look good, it's because you don't look good. You know, and like, how much energy do you have to put into something to make it look like it isn't, to something it's not? It's just you're fighting against the tide, and the tide is stronger. And this is like that period where you're like, fuck it, why am I even fighting against this? Why? I don't know. Maybe I should add why. What did Taurus think that they would get out of this? Like, why? Why are they fighting against this? What's going on? Why? Because you felt like you were never going to get anything else. You felt like this was your chance and these were your options, or you were pitying something or someone, and you felt bad for the situation of the person. But it's like, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Like, why? Like, yeah, it's okay. From my perspective, God, what switches? What changes? What happened that suddenly things that the viewer doesn't want to deal with this anymore? Like, what switches? There's a decision that's made. Something comes into consciousness. Information is shared. Okay, what is it? Or outside of you, a decision is made. And that changes things, or it opens the door for something. So elaborate. 7 of Swords. Okay. It's your change of mind or your mindset, or somebody finally makes you realize. 7 of Swords, 7 of Pentacles, that you're robbing yourself of energy, or that you're being undermined and used, that somebody's taking advantage. It's like you suddenly realize this is you've got your thoughts all wrong. Your thoughts are not in the right order. You've been distracted, or you're finally realizing you're being taken advantage of. It's the realization that you're being taken advantage of, and that, yeah, that's what it is. So what happens to make them realize this? The Death card. Oh, damn. Something extreme happens. Something extreme. Like, in other words, something completely and totally unavoidable. So this is big. It's not going to be subtle. Ace of Pentacles. There's abundance on the table. I understand what you're saying. So, God, so what the universe is telling you through this energy is that say this is a person, and this could be metaphoric, but say this is a person. They get like like you give and give and give, and you've been busting your ass, and every time they needed something, you came through. They needed money, you loaned them money, you haven't asked for it back, they haven't tried, but you know, all of a sudden they get money, and they don't even ask you out to dinner. All of a sudden they get money, and they don't even try to pay you back, not even a little bit. It's like they're extreme. All of a sudden it changes, and you don't hear from them. As soon as shit goes good for them, it's like, that's what's going to change. It's like all of a sudden something goes good, and you're the last person they think of to call. They're not even thinking about it. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to blindside you. You never really saw it happen. Or you're going to find out that they've had resources all along. They just didn't want to share it with you. They would rather not say anything about it or do something behind your back. They were taking advantage when they didn't have to. That's the information you're going to find out. Okay, I hear your next question. How do we find it out? Let's see. Ace of Swords is here. Something comes out, public knowledge, public information. Virgo energy, it could be Virgo energy, could just be you, or something goes really, really well for you. Maybe there's a public announcement, maybe you're celebrated, and that catalyzes everything. It's like they don't say anything, or they're not there to support you or appreciate you when other people are appreciating you easily. It just becomes very, very clear that when you have something to celebrate, you're all alone, or you hear or you see publicly, it comes out that they're doing really, really well, or that they're having a good time, and it's coming out public. You're gonna see, and they don't want you near them, or you're not with them. They didn't call. Or when it happens to you, right? They didn't, like, they're not around. They're not there to celebrate you. That's how it comes out. And is it going to break your heart? For some of you, I think it will. But I think ultimately most of you are going to be like a little bit relieved. If I'm being honest, a little bit relieved. Ooh, I love this. Let yourself feel all your emotions. This is a good answer to the question we just asked. Your entire rainbow spectrum of feelings is sending you important messages and guidance. Let's go to the extended. Let's go to the extended. I will see you there. Guys, I hope to see you there. Maybe you just want to hang out with me a little bit more. Let's continue this message over in the extended. I'll see you there.